Okay, so today the Data Science Incubator meetup is to introduce you to a new place where you can shape your thoughts and share them across the community and with the world, and that is a blog. So the goal of today is to kind of empower you to create your own personal blog and to maybe share your thoughts in your personal blog, or if you want to submit posts to our organization-wide blog. We are going to be working with these two things that are becoming more regular. This collaborative document that you are looking at right now, I see already people working on it. Today I didn't include the sign in section. I think it's better to just have a look at how many people I have on Zoom. The next place where I would like you to go is to rstudio.cloud. It could be any instance of rstudio.cloud, but I prefer you to click this link again, because if you had it before from previous meetings, that project will not include a package that we're going to be using today. So I encourage you to click the link that I see everyone clicking here so that you land on this RStudio Cloud project that you see here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag this window out and move it to the right. The idea is that here to the left, you will have the document that is kind of the map about what we are going to be doing today. And to the right, I'm going to be showing something, or you will be kind of working on something. So the introduction for the meetup is this idea that a great deal of what we do as knowledge workers involves thinking, and a great way to think well is to write. And as Leslie Lamport puts it, if you think without writing, you only think that you are thinking. So writing is a way to kind of lock these thoughts that we have at some state and then build on that and improve them, right? And we need a place to do that. You know, it could be a paper, a piece of paper, it could be a Word document. But today I'm introducing you to a blog, because not only you can, you need a place to write things down, but you also need a place to share them. And I've noticed through communications with a lot of us, including like George, Uni, Vincent, Jackson, Alex, a lot of people have great things to share, and we are sharing our thoughts on Slack, which is great. But I think that we could, some of the communications that we have and some of the ideas that we have can be kind of broadcasted to the world as well, and make them easier to find in the future. So for that, I think that a blog is ideal. Also for software development, sometimes we need to announce features, packages, and a blog is a great place to do that. So the outline, so in this meeting, you will create and extend a blog, and you will publish your blog in a quick platform. And the idea is outlined it here, right? So create a blog, tweak a little bit the shape of your blog, but very basically, create a new post, publish your blog, and then I'm going to show you how I could import a post that you might write in your own personal blog, and then I can kind of import it into the 2 Degrees one. So the setup is already, I'm assuming that everyone already did it. So if you, just for practice as well, click yes, as I'm doing now on the participants tab, if you already have the rstudio.cloud project open on your browser, as I do here. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people. I already see half of the people already have clicked yes on the participants tab on Zoom, and a few others may be a little behind, but that's fine. We are gonna move on. So the first thing I would like you to try is this function. Basically the blog that we now have is based on a framework that is called Distill. Distill is just an R package, and it's very well suited for scientific reports and things like that. If you type Distill column, you will have access to all the functions on tab completion. So the one that you want to use first is create blog. So just use that function to create your own blog. So the first note that I need to do about this is that you need to be sure that you are under this directory, cloud project, so that the function that I mentioned will create a new folder under project here. So give it a go. So I'm gonna reset the yeses. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do that. Let's do a couple of minutes. It's just calling one function and kind of having a look at what happens. You may see a lot of warnings that I don't know why they appear, but you can disregard them. So the time is running now. Run that function, distill create blog. Just give it the name of your blog, and then when you're done, click yes. I'm gonna click yes here because I did it before. Great. Again, a big hint is that you need to be, I mean, you can do it on our studio locally. If you have it, first you will need to, of course, install the package distill with install.packages, quote, distill, quote. But today we are doing it on our Studio Cloud, and our Studio Cloud does not include a nice feature that you will have available locally, which is that you can create a blog just by clicking things. But today we are doing it directly with the function distill create blog. Okay, in the last few seconds, I'm gonna do it myself. So if you are a little behind, you can just see how I do it. It's pretty straightforward. This is not like an evaluation. You know, I just want to make sure that you have experienced how to create a blog. Distill create blog, and here I'm gonna say I'm gonna just use the example exactly like that. My blog. That's kind of all I need. Oh no, actually, it's asking me for a title for my blog, so I'm gonna call it the same. My blog. You may not see this because I don't have space here. Let me drag this window a little bit. There you go. I see a bunch of red colored things, which is generally not a good thing, but I tried this several times already and it just works. So you will see some text here that populates and in an article that is called welcome. One thing I need to do probably here is to refresh with this little circular arrow. When I refresh there, I see that my blog appears here. So the next thing I would like you to do is to go into that folder, my blog. So click in there, and now you will see an RStudio project file. So this file that says my blog.rproject. So notice the following. In the left-hand side, I'm still on my working directory being that project. But if I click on that file, that will change my project directory to inside my blog, right? So I'm gonna do exactly that because I want my project directory to be the blog itself. So as you can see now in my files panel, I'm now inside the directory in my blog, and I see a bunch of files that make up the infrastructure of the blog. So let's see what's our next item in the agenda. Okay, so this second item I had just kind of demonstrated. The idea is for you to kind of follow along. I'm gonna give a few seconds for you to kind of catch up if you haven't. Maybe just less than a minute, maybe 30 seconds. And in the meantime, I explain the next thing that I would like you to do. So the next thing I would like you to do is to actually build your blog. And how you do that, okay, you don't see it here because the tab is hidden. But if you navigate to the tab called build, and this tab will only be available if you are inside the working directory of your blog, right? So you have to be seeing something like this, and your working directory here on the console should say, my blog or whatever name you gave it. If you do that, then RStudio will know that that's a blog, and I will give you this tab called build. So go to that tab and hit directly on build website. And when you do that, click yes. So that will kind of give me a hint that kind of we are all seeing on the viewer how cool our new blog is. So if you have questions, remember that on the document we have a special place for questions, especially if something that, you know, I may not have time to address now, but it's great for you to capture questions there because I can come back to that later. So if you already built your blog, please hit yes on Zoom. So I know that we are more on the same page. And otherwise, you know, like speak up and say, you know, where you're stuck, or write a question there. Great, I see almost everyone who is responding is already clicking. So the next thing I would like you to do is to basically create a mental model of how the blog works. So what you see in the rendered way has, of course, a source file in the back end, right? So explore a little bit your blog, both from the window here, you know, by clicking, okay, what happens if I click on the name? I see a post. What happens if I click on the post? I see actually something there. What happens if I click on the menu? Oh, there is an about. Let's go to about. You know, you read something there. Okay, so you now have an idea of what the blog looks like when it's rendered. So the HTML files that display the blog in a nice way, but then there is source files associated to them. So, you know, go to files and play a little bit. So for example, okay, we saw a place that was called about, and there is an about.rmd file. The index file is pretty boring, but it does give the name to your blog. So you may also want now to kind of play by tweaking your blog. So just change something like my blog, I could write my cool blog, and then rebuild it. You just save the file, knit it here, and then go to the tab build and hit build website. So let's take a minute to play with our blog. Again, the task is to explore your blog from the viewer, explore your blog from the files, find the source files of everything that is displayed on your blog, and maybe change something and then knit and build and see how, you know, your tweaks are reflected in the render output. And when you're done with that, click yes. You don't need to change absolutely everything, just kind of to confirm, to prove yourself that you can change something and create a visual effect in the output of your blog. Cool, I see some people already saying yes, that's great. Awesome, we have already 5 people answering. So we are now at the stage where we could, so we modify something, you rebuild it, and now let's create a new post. So you already know more or less that, you know, you tweak things and they render in your blog. So now let's create a new post. So what if you want to create something new? Okay, there is this function on the dist package called create post. So I'm gonna actually type post to see all the options that I have for things about posts. It's a relatively small package, so that's kind of nice because it's very obvious what you can do. There is other frameworks, and actually the reason why I really like Distill is because it's extremely minimalist. Other frameworks are too complicated, they have too many things, and for my taste, they make things harder than they should. So let's go ahead and do create post. I think that you only need to give it a name for the post, so I'm gonna say my post, and hit enter. So again, I see a bunch of you know, messages here that I don't yet understand because I'm new to this framework, but I see that this has worked. You know, I see a file here that I can knit and then rebuild the blog again as I did before. So I would like you to do just that. So create a new post, knit it, and then build it. And then, you know, the post that you added should appear here on the home page of your blog. And if you want to expand it, you can click this thing here, and it will open your blog on a browser. I'm gonna do it again because that was fast. So this button here expands the viewer into a whole window, and I don't know why it's not showing anything here, but it should. So go ahead, I'm gonna give you another minute to try that. We are here at this stage. The idea is to create a post. I'm gonna refresh everything, and please say yes when you're done creating a new post. Great, I see a lot of people. So there is one thing I forgot to mention, maybe you read it here, maybe not, and that is that there is one parameter that I need for the next exercise, and I need to be set to true. So in your post, you will see that at the very top, there is what's called a YAML header, just all this information here is kind of metadata for your post. And I need, at least for one person, I need this value here to be true. So please, one of you or all of you, if you could, do that, change the parameter self-contained to the value true, and then need that again. That will automatically save the file, and then build your blog again. That is something that should not do anything visible in your blog, but it's something that I will need to be able to import your post into 2 Degrees blog. So the next step is pretty exciting, actually. What I'm gonna ask you to do is to export your site. So honestly, a blog is a very simple, the back end is a very simple structure. So let me show you what it looks like. So if you go to Files, you will see, you may have already realized that the folder posts _ posts is a very important one, because it's the one that contains the source files for your posts. So for every post, like the one that you created, for example, there is a folder, and for that folder, there is a source file that you were editing. And also there is an HTML file that kind of exists only after you knit the thing and you build it. But what's actually displayed and the thing that you could publish actually comes from this other folder. It's called site. So your next task here is to click here on, so what we want to do is to publish the post. How you do that? Okay, just by putting that folder _ site in a server, in some place that can serve your website. And we're gonna do it in a very simple way. We're gonna first download that folder, and you can do it by clicking here on the name of the folder in the Files tab, and then go to the More section here, More, and you can go to Export. So if you do that, let me see if I already have a folder called just like that. Right. So here is my, I don't know if you can see here, but here is my downloads folder. It doesn't have yet that site _ site folder, but if I do click here on export, it will propose to be exported as a site .zip file, and automatically, at least in Linux, it exports into my downloads folder. So go ahead and do that, and then click yes when you're done. And in the meantime, I'm gonna show. Good, I see some people already exported it. So basically this zip file contains a bunch of HTML files that contain our post, our blog. And then the next thing, I see already 3 people, that's good. The next thing is we're gonna drag that folder that contains all those HTMLs to a service that can serve it. Great, I see already 4 people were able to do the task. So in the collaborative doc, in the Google Doc, there is this link that you can click there. I'm gonna paste it here on the same window here. That is a very cool service by Netlify. Netlify serves websites, and it has this very neat feature that just by dragging a bunch of HTML files, it serves the blog for you. So here is my the site that I exported to my computer, and just gonna drag it into this white space and wait a few seconds, and here it is. I now Netlify is serving my blog in this link. So if I click here in this link, as you can see, I'm already online, and my blog is already online, and so I can click here in my post and see what's in there. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to reset the yeses. So find your exported blog and drag it to Netlify. The address is here. I think everyone is already copying it. So that one person or persons who use the parameter self-contained equals true, please go to a post like the one that I have here, copy that address that you see there, and send me the address to your post here. Just paste it, oops, sorry. Paste it here like that, because I'm gonna use that address to republish your post. So what I'm trying to show you here is how you could publish your own personal blog post for your data science purposes. And then there is two ways in which you could contribute to the 2 Degrees blog. One way is to write directly inside 2 Degrees blog, but another way is to just send me a link to your own blog, and then I can import it. Constanza, I see that you said no. Would you like to say what's going on?
I'm just wanting to announce that Netlify has troubles connecting me to Netlify, and I guess I have to look deeper into this.
Oh,
so
sucks. Yeah.
Same for me.
Yeah, everyone same. Anyone was able to do it?
This may be caused by an ad blocker or something, but then I have to, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
actually, I have the same problem, but it works when you sign in.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Probably that's why I didn't experience that that's problem, because I have an account with Netlify. Okay, so then I'm gonna kind of go on with the last little bit of this meetup, which is kind of to just show you how I import into 2 Degrees blog a post that you might have written somewhere else. Actually, I see someone. Okay, I see. Let's see what this one here is about. Okay, tweak something. Nice. I see. Let's click here. I'm gonna copy this post and see if this works on. If I can import it. So what I'm doing now, this looks similar to what you saw before, but I'm now at a different interface. I'm in RStudio locally, and I am at the blog post, at the blog from 2 Degrees. It's called DS Data Science at 2 Degrees. And I'm just gonna use the function distill import post. And all I need to do here is to paste a link to the post that I want to import. So let's, in this case, I think it was Jackson who wrote this post and say that he wants to host in his own personal blog, but then he sends me this link because he thinks that it's also relevant to 2 Degrees. So I'm going to import that post into 2 Degrees. If he used that flag self-contains equals true, then it should work. And if it doesn't, it will fail. we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to press enter. Now it's asking me a question here. Let me reduce the size of this a little bit. It is asking me if this, if I'm, I have a license to publish this. I'm going to say yes, because I mean, if it's private information, of course you couldn't. And it worked actually. So now what I see here is a preview of Jackson's post. So let's go back to RStudio. So now if I build the blog, again, remember that I'm in 2 Degrees blog now, but I want to import Jackson's blog or Jackson's post. So here you see. So what you see here at the bottom is the a post that existed before, and this one here now includes the one at the top is Jackson's post. So I successfully imported his post just from a link. So that is it. We have 1 minute, or actually less than that, for questions and comments, but also go ahead and write them down on the document. So anyone there, please share your ideas, comments, questions, speaking them aloud. No comments, no questions?
I have a question, yeah, just to speak aloud, maybe I wasn't. To import posts, they have to be made in the distill framework specifically?
I don't think so. Honestly, I'm very new to the framework, so I don't know the details, but I think that it should, as long as it's a self-contained document, but I don't know exactly what it means, but we could learn. I think it aims to be flexible enough so it should be able to import anything. In any case, you can also send me the HTML, you know, and I can republish.
Even if, like, I think so, I have a blog already written through like Jekyll and like that framework, and it's all markdown files for the blog itself anyways. I'm sure there's a way to do a self-contained version of that and import it to distill, and even if it doesn't exist already, it seems like Jekyll is commonly used enough that someone should start that. So maybe we can even help build distill.
Also, it is very tweakable. The version I show is the vanilla one, but you know, I saw that Vincent has been creating excellent themed CSS files. So maybe if he wants to tweak the blog so that it looks more 2 degrees, that it should be doable. I don't know how to do it, but maybe Vincent can.
Yeah, sounds good.
That was my first thing I looked at. I looked at the back end. It's JavaScript, which I've never worked with, but maybe there'll be a pet project.
But I mean, like our theme is just like Flatly, like it's from Bootstrap pretty much. So I'm sure we could have
even the vanilla looks kind of a little bluish, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna now spend time answering the questions offline, but I'll let you go to Taylor's meeting. So thank you very much for joining.
Cool. Thanks, Mara.
Oh, this was very cool.
Thanks for showing it. Really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Ciao.